Welcome to the first official podcast and live stream featuring Ben from Conjuring Rock, Adam from Adam's Real Adventures, and your host, me, Jeff, from Limestone Fishing. This is the Nameless Podcast. This is the Nameless Podcast. We've decided, since we can't decide on a name, that we will let anybody viewing here have a crack at it. So if you think you have a good name for our podcast, drop a comment down there in the chat, and we'll review them at the end of this live stream and podcast and see which ones we like the best, I guess.
That'd be awesome to hear the suggestions. I'm sure there's going to be some good ones.
So first of all, we'll start with some introductions. We'll go around the table. Why don't we start with you, Adam? Where can people find you online, and what are you all about?
I have a Instagram page and a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is the main focus. It is Adam's Real Adventures. My name is Adam, and I do fishing and camping and canoeing adventure videos. That's mostly it. I got some gear reviews, some other green. What is it called, Ben? Evergreen content. I've got some stuff for you to learn. So that's about it.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm sure there's more, but my 10 seconds is up.
Yeah, that's good. That works. All right, Ben, we'll move on to you. Where can people find you on the interwebs, and what are you all about?
Well, you can find me at Conjuring Rock on YouTube. That's kind of my main focus. I also do Instagram posts as well, so you can find me there, same spot, Conjuring Rock, and on Facebook. And it's camping, fishing, paddling videos. I do some whitewater as well. Yeah, that's about it. And the kind of camping videos I do, maybe I should mention that, is like winter camping, canoe tripping, car camping. I mean, like it's a whole mix, really. It's all over.
Awesome.
Mostly car camping, though.
It's usually with this goon down here.
Usually.
Mostly car camping.
Yeah.
We make it look like we're in the backcountry, but we're camping out of a trunk.
Yeah, usually.
Awesome. And of course, if you're watching this channel, you know me. My name's Jeff. My channel's Limestone Fishing. You can find me on YouTube at Limestone Fishing, Instagram at Limestone Fishing, and occasionally TikTok on Limestone Fishing, and also Facebook at Limestone Fishing. I do all kinds. I do. Yeah, it's pretty continuous, I guess. My content is all kinds of fishing. I fish from my boat. I fish from my kayak. I don't so much anymore, but sometimes I'll even go fish from the bank, and ice fishing too. I don't do much camping, but maybe next year these two goons will invite me on a trip, and I'll actually get to go with them.
We hope you get out there with us for sure. Yeah.
All right.
I just want to point out that we've never used the term goons, and I've heard it twice now since this podcast started, so I guess it's a new thing.
That's not true. We've used the term goons lots of times.
Perhaps.
Behind our back. How are you talking about us, Jeff? Are you calling us goons behind our backs?
The only time I ever talk about you guys is when I'm talking to you guys.
Oh, great. You don't care about us outside of this, eh?
Ouch.
All
you
right.
Don't share my video with friends? No, nothing?
I share your videos. So, of course, if you're watching this, live stream and you're interested in that kind of stuff, whatever Ben does, his camping and fishing, and the same for Adam, make sure you head on over to their YouTube channels after this live stream and subscribe to their channels if you're not already. They both produce really great and awesome content, and I'm really happy to be doing
all
this.
The links.
Yeah, they are linked. They should be linked in the description. I hope they showed up properly. We're still working out the technical details of live streaming. This is our first one, so hopefully it's gonna work out for us. But anyways, yeah. So go subscribe to their channels. They make
my Instagram post. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Jeff also makes really awesome videos, so
I do okay.
If you haven't already, you should watch his stuff. Now that we've all pat each other on the back.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably start off with maybe talking about ice fishing, because
yes,
we got a little while yet, but this time where we can't go out and open water fish, or it's more difficult, and blah blah blah, whatever. This is the time where we usually start thinking about like getting our gear set up and maybe getting some things that we needed at the end of the last season. So I'm pumped about ice season. I'm living in a new area. I've never fished. Actually, Ben, you and I, we went out fishing on the ice last year. We hit up 2 lakes, I think.
Yep. Right. Because you moved in just towards the end of the winter, right?
Yeah. And we got on a bunch of like really mediocre sized perch. So I'm hoping to do a little bit better this year.
Mediocre sized perch.
Yeah.
We were really excited about this mediocre sized perch.
Where did you move, Adam? Did you say that?
So, what's that?
Where did you move? I don't know if you mentioned it.
Kawartha Lakes region.
Yeah.
It's lots of water. Lots of water.
Lots of water up there.
Yes, sir.
And water species too. Like there's we got stocked lakes around here with trout, walleye, muskie, big muskie. Ben knows about the muskie.
We'll get there. That's one of my questions for later.
Yeah, but I'm excited to do some camping in the area too. Lots of crown land around here. It's been great out here so far. So
yeah, man, that's
definitely
awesome. That's awesome.
I was gonna ask, is there anything you guys have in mind? Like is something like gear you want to pick up or something that like you wish you had at the end of last season, but you're like, it's the end of the season, like I'm not gonna bother. Like, is there anything that you want to start the season out with something like new or a technique or something you want to try?
Like the open water season, you mean?
No, ice season. Ice season.
Ice season. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new things that I wish I had that I still won't have, but that I wish I did. One is live scope.
Oh, yeah, that'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but those are expensive.
What do you think you're going to get this year? What do you think is within the reach?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It depends. I honestly, I have everything I need. What I would like is an electric auger. I'd like an Ion or one of those Strike Masters. That and an insulated hut. Those are the 2 big ones for me.
Yeah,
the electric auger is a game changer. I mean, a powered auger is a game changer.
I'm not too keen on a gas auger. I think I'd really like to have an electric one, but again, they're pretty expensive, right? So
they don't have to be. I use a drill, and I have like Clam makes this mount with handles on it and like a little trigger too. So you can mount the drill to that, and then you attach that to your auger. The advantage to that too versus like the regular drill and auger is if you don't have a stopper between the drill and the auger comes off the drill, I've seen videos of it go right down the hole.
Yeah, but, I had one last year. I tried it. I bought the Woods brand one, and I used it with a DeWalt drill, and I used the 8-inch bit. I used the 8-inch bit that came with the manual auger. I don't know if you remember, Ben, that first time we went up a little bit north of Kingston. We tried it out. Yeah. Didn't work out so well. I think the drill was on its way out because the drill started smoking after the first hole. Like, oh god! I took the manual handle.
We got like 6 holes out of it.
So 6 holes. We got 2 holes max out of that before we switched.
Oh really?
To the manual.
Oh
yeah.
They're coming out with plastic flights now. So like plastic augers. So it's lighter and more capable for a drill to actually spin.
That's crazy cool, actually. I'll be interested to see like when more people adopt that, if they start like breaking. I mean, the cold is really hard in plastic. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like plastic though. It's like a plastic polymer composite stuff. Yeah. For sure.
I just said composite. Does anybody know what that word even is? It's a thing that some things that I buy are made of. I don't know.
It's like a mixture of. It's a mixture of 2 different types of materials, I guess.
Or multiple, yeah.
Yeah, or I should say 2 or more types of materials.
That's what I assumed, but
Yeah.
So something I've got my eye on that I would really like for this year is a jaw jacker, and like a proper one. Just I like the portability of it and like the ease of setup, and it looks very interesting to me.
But you want to do a lot. You have the Swift Jacker.
What's that? I do have the Swift Jacker. Yeah, I will be using that. So I might have that along with the jaw jacker. But I definitely want to run more tip ups this year and go for more pike. That's kind of my goal. How about you, Adam? What are you looking for this year? Is any new tech or just a piece of gear that you're looking for?
You could call it new tech. You could call it a new piece of gear. It's neither of those things. I am stoked about making a Smitty sled for my ice sled. I'm gonna build the frame, put some skis on it, and it's gonna make pulling my stuff, a kilometer out on the ice so much more enjoyable. Because
sorry.
I was just gonna bring up the trip that we did a couple of years back where we slept on the boat ramp. If you remember, I had like 250 pounds of gear in that sled, and there was so much friction. Like I was almost literally dying pulling that thing. I almost passed out at once. It was bad. So I'm gonna try and help myself and make that a little bit easier.
That would
So
be great. Just for our audience, just so our audience knows what a Smitty sled is, or a Smitty is. It's basically you take your sled and you put it on skis and kind of spread out the weight, and it just glides a lot more easier over the snow. From what I hear, some people have some mixed opinions about them, but I could definitely see how it would be an advantage.
The problem with the sled by itself is there's just an enormous amount of surface area, so it creates so much more friction.
Yeah,
the advantage is obviously to glide over the snow, and but yeah, if you have too much weight, then those skis are going to dig, and then you know what I mean. It's not so you still. I don't know. I'm going to try it out, especially on ice and like really like thin, like maybe a couple inches of snow. It's going to be like amazing.
I suspect we'll be seeing a video about that build, right?
I hope
yes.
so.
I plan on doing a video, so
yeah. That's awesome.
You'll be able to find it.
Do you guys have any goals for this ice season? Like, are there any fish that you want to get? Is there a PB you're looking to crack?
Yes, I would like to catch my first lake trout through the ice.
Yeah. Ooh, that would be great. That'd be cool.
I've been doing a lot of research about lakes around us that are like within a reasonable driving period that are open all year round, because not all the lakes that have lake trout in them are open all year round, but there are many actually around us that you can go fish for lake trout all year.
Usually they're stocked lakes, aren't they?
Yeah, they're stocked lakes. That's right. But there's one in particular that I'm looking at that has had fish stocked in it every year for the last 5 years.
Ooh, so, nice.
Yeah.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. That and last year and splake too. You know, like the hybrid lake trout, brook trout.
Yeah.
I caught one last year, and I'd like to get some more of those. Yeah.
Cool.
What about you,
Adam?
I just want to catch a sizable fish. Like, this might sound, like a lie, but I've never actually caught a big fish through the ice. Like panfish only. I had a pike. I've had two what I think were pikes, and they were good size. One of them ate an 8-inch sucker, and my line snapped when I set the hook. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But the other one was another pike, probably not as big. It was on like just a shiner, but same thing. I set the hook and it cut the line. So I didn't have. I not only did I not have a leader on that one, but it was like 6-pound line. Like not,
Didn't stand a chance.
I was expecting crappie. That's what I was going for. So
yeah,
fair.
I'm with you, man. I've never caught anything real sizable through the ice. In fact, even pike, I've only ever caught one pike, and it was like just a little snot rocket. The only thing I've ever caught on a tip up is a perch. So, so that's gonna be a goal for this year for me too.
Ben, do you remember a while back the first time we met and we went out ice fishing, and we were on that lake, and I got a bunch of bites. Like, it was a really slow day. Like, none of us were catching anything. But like my tip up went off a few times.
Oh, yeah.
But I missed all of them. Like, obviously I'm just horrible at ice fishing. I think that's what this comes down to.
Yeah, that was just a string of bad luck.
Yeah, I've got many more opportunities around me now, so I'm really planning on like honing that this year, doing better.
Awesome. I think our goals are all pretty much the same. Like, I mean, I've landed some pike through the ice, quite a few pike. Nothing that's like, I'd say close to 5 pounds, like nothing that big. So I think that I would just like to get a huge pike through the ice. If I can get a 10 pounder, I would be Very happy with that, especially with the area that we live in. I know some of our listeners might be outside of the area and think 10-pound pike, okay, all right, I can get that on Saturday, but in our area, it's a little bit more difficult.
You know, it's fun.
Yeah.
Funny little story about that. This was bass opener. My wife and I were fishing in my canoe, and I wasn't really thinking about catching muskie. We were in this really shallow, like weedy bay. There was lots of lily pads around, and my wife's throwing a fluke around, and she hooks into a fish. She's like, "Oh, I got something!" And I turn and look at her, and I see this muskie. It's a small muskie, but it jumps out of the water like 4 feet, and we're both like, "Oh my god!" So we in this fish, and then I was like, "This is so sweet!" Like, and then I had this sudden realization, like, "Oh, like." I'm only ever going to catch muskie, big or small. Like I'm never going to catch a pike, and muskie's like a special fish, right? Like they're not everywhere, and but like the fact that I live in this place where like I'm never going to catch a snot rocket pike, they're all going to be snot rocket muskie. It's just a little like a small muskie's definitely better than a small pike. Like no one's going to argue that.
Yeah.
It was just this funny realization that like, oh, now I'm in this place where like there's muskie everywhere. It's kind of cool.
I just want to
Yeah.
give a quick shout out to some people in the chat here. Yo, what's up, actually, Andrew and YGK Angler and everybody else that's watching? Oh, Crooked Hooks. Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just realized that while you two could hear me, I had my mic muted on the live stream for like that whole last spiel about the muskie. So everybody watched my mouth moving but couldn't hear anything.
Oh no, that's
awesome.
Did anybody say anything? You said anything? No.
Yeah, we've got some people watching.
No,
and
I meant
about the what?
The what?
About Jeff's mic not being on.
No.
It's like 30 seconds behind too. So what they're watching now, they can't. Yeah.
There's quite the delay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's okay. Anyways, I think they're here more for you guys than they are for me.
Oh, shut up. Anyways, I do want to ask the audience though, like if you guys have like a nice fishing goal for this year, let us know. Like, what are you targeting? Like, what are you chasing? What's the PB you're looking to crack? It'd be cool to hear.
Do you guys want to answer some questions?
Yeah, but before we get into the questions, I want to just double tap again on the naming of this podcast. So if you missed it in the first little bit, we don't know what we want to call this live stream and podcast yet, so we're going to leave it up to the audience. If you guys want to throw out some names, we're going to do a little contest, and when whoever, I don't know, submits the best one or the one that we like the most, then we'll call it that. So yeah, let's move on into the questions.
Doesn't have to be so formal. No, we don't have to call it that. I just thought like this is a great way for us to talk about some of our experiences, but it's going to help us and it's going to help the listeners to just like remember moments that they experience that might be similar to these kinds of things. So Jeff, I wanted to ask you because you're a big safety guy. Like you did the Spud Bar video. You got the float suit. Like you take safety seriously, and so my question was, have you implemented any of those things because of a lesson that you learned, like something that happened, and you're like, okay, that can never happen again, like a hard lesson learned?
First of all, I don't have a float suit. That's why when I'm on ice that I'm not sure of, I'm wearing my PFD. That big red Santa suit that you see me in is actually just a rain jacket. It's my rain suit. Yeah, but
it looks like a float suit.
I know, but it's so good, and it's so good at blocking wind, and it like that I wear that ice fishing too. I just layer up underneath it.
So you're not the safety guy.
I am. That's why I wear my PFD.
Right. Actually, that's a good point. You've never worn a PFD on the ice.
Yeah. To answer your question though, no, there's been nothing specific that has happened that has made me go, oh gosh, I don't ever want to deal with that again. I'm going to be safe from now on. I just really, really don't want to go through the ice and not be prepared to do so. So I just want to make sure that if it's going to happen, that I'm doing everything I can to ensure my survival, because like us, we have friends and families that love us, and I want to make sure I come home at the end of a fishing trip still warm.
Ice fishing can be super sketchy and very dangerous, especially around current.
Not just for ice fishing either. The boat's a little bit different, but whenever I'm on my kayak, I won't go out my kayak without my PFD on, even if it's a beautiful windless day and there's no risk of harm at all. You never know what could happen, and I've always got my PFD on when I'm in my kayak, mostly
Yeah,
because
You ever
of
have like a sketchy
boaters and
moment in the
pleasure
kayak
boaters.
though?
Yeah, in my kayak, yes, and it's been due to pleasure boaters and jet skiers. Um, most people are pretty good. Most people are pretty conscious of other watercraft on the lakes and stuff, especially smaller watercraft like kayaks that are less maneuverable. But some people are just dinks, and you always want that peace of mind that if they come and push you over with a wave or something like that, and if you're in shallow water with some rocks or something, you're gonna boop your head, that you're still gonna be able to keep yourself above water. And that's why you wear the PFDs. It's not because you can't swim or something like that, right? The PFD is to help you stay above water when you can't do it yourself.
Definitely.
The PFD I normally
That,
wear is
I would argue that it's not just pleasure boaters. If you're in your fishing kayak, so many things can happen where you're going to lose your balance.
Yep.
I witnessed it this summer actually. Somebody I was kayak fishing with
I know
fell off the boat. I won't say any names. I'll leave his dignity intact. But
you know who you are.
yes.
But yeah, no, that's absolutely true. It doesn't have to be because of negligent boating. If you're standing in your kayak and fishing or something like that, and you go to set the hook on a bass or a log, and you lose your balance, and like I said, you just never know what could happen, and it's always best to be safe, to err on the side of caution when it comes to stuff like that.
For sure.
You always got to do what you need to do to be safe.
I've dumped in a kayak in pretty cold water. It was early spring, high water, and I was on a river with a friend. We were actually supposed to be in Algonquin Park, and we had booked the trip, but there was still ice on the lakes, so we had to cancel. So we're just like, well, let's go do something. So we decided to do this river trip, trying to catch trout. And I've never been on a river. I'm not even that confident in a kayak, but we're like, let's give her. So we had our PFDs, we had warm clothes. I even had a dry bag with a change of clothes just in case. But this was like close to the end of the day. We were like, 3/4 of the way down the river, almost to our takeout point. And there was this big, huge tree that was like what do they call it? A sweeper. It was just like maybe a foot or two over the top of the water, and the current's going underneath it. And I don't know, because of my inexperience, I had paddled like to try and get around it, and I thought I had the right trajectory. So I stopped paddling, and the current actually just pulled me right underneath the log. So now my torso is wrapped around it, and my boat is sideways in the water, and I can just feel it. The river's like pushing the side down. Okay, I'm taking the water. Oh no, this is bad. This is bad. And then the kayak just flips. So now I'm hanging onto this tree. It's freezing cold, like it's early spring, and I can touch the bottom, but the current's so strong that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay planted. So, anyways, I ended up losing like two combos. My buddy Mike helped me out huge. But like the point I'm making is how quick it happened, and like I knew the hazard was there. I thought I was clear, like I thought it was okay, and because I clearly wasn't sure that I was okay, I paid the price. So thankfully we were pretty close to the car. The only the worst part was the rods that I lost. Everything else was attached to the boat. And the GoPro that I was wearing that wasn't filming at the time, it got dunked, and I didn't have a waterproof case on it. But it's a 3+, and it's literally the GoPro that I still use to this day. That thing was dunked without a waterproof case on it, and I still use it every time I go out.
That's incredible.
That's a lucky GoPro.
Yeah, for sure. I wish it was rolling though, because that would have been a good one.
Sweepers are so dangerous, especially being on a river and getting caught under that. A lot of people have lost their lives to that. That's intense.
Yeah, rivers are dangerous for sure.
And I bet that water was cold. If
not the hard
water was frozen up above, just a little bit north of you. Wow.
Yeah, it was cold. My adrenaline though was going, like I the cold was the least of my concerns. It was like, how do I get out of this situation? I ended up using the tree to hold me and climbed up the bank, so I got out of the water. But yeah, we flipped the boat over, thankfully. I mean, I had everything else. I had my paddle still. We could make it to the end of the river, but I was wet.
And alive.
That's a crazy story. Yeah, you're lucky, man. Lucky.
For sure. Yeah, it could have been a hell of a lot worse.
What about you, Ben?
Sorry, what's the question?
Hard lessons learned.
Oh, hard lessons learned. Oh, I don't know.
There's been no event that happened to you that was not the greatest, and you've learned
Done
from.
some whitewater trip.
Yeah, you've done some whitewater stuff, man.
Yeah,
Camping
so
could be camping too.
I've pulled off some some bad maneuvers while whitewatering and whitewater paddling, and paddled right into like a rock basically, and we flipped the canoe. But I think like as far as like maybe hard lessons or like wake up calls, when I was fishing with Benny C, him and I were down at on the Bay of Quinte, and there's current on the Bay of Quinte, and we're ice fishing. So we were waiting for this one area to freeze up, and he had been checking it throughout the week, and it looked like it had finally iced over, and we decided we were going to give it a go. And there was one other person out on the ice, which should have been our first indication, but Benny decided to venture out, and you know, he was like he was hitting with his axe as he went, because we didn't have a spud bar. That's something I'm going to get this year. But he's hitting with his axe as he goes, and everything seems fine. So he turns around. He's like, "Yeah, man, it's good to fish. Let's go." And as he's saying that, he takes a little step, just like half a foot off of his path that he took. And he said right when he was putting his foot down, he could feel there was nothing there, basically. And he just like, it looked like there was something there. And when he went to put his foot down, it was just like, nope, and right into the water. He like was able to put his arms out fast enough to catch himself. And this area has a strong current, so it was pretty freaky. Because if he would have went under, that current could have taken him, and you know, he might not have been around.
Even with a PFD, like that might not help you, because if you get under that ice, it might pin you. I don't know. It's sketchy.
Yeah, who knows? So we got him. He got out of the water. They say you should like, you know, relax when you first fall in the water, but he was just like right when you hit the water, he was trying to get out immediately, and he did. He like put his arms out, did what you're supposed to, got himself in a plane position, and then like started kicking his feet and pulled himself up on the ice, and he stood up a little bit sooner than he probably should have, but he was fine in the end. And yeah, we ended up driving back to my place, and I gave him a change of my clothes, and we went back out ice fishing that day. I just at a different spot on the Bay of Quinte that was already froze up. The guys got some guts. I don't know.
And you guys got some
freaked
walleye
me
that
out.
day too after that debacle.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and he actually he got rewarded with a walleye. That's for sure. With one of a nice one for one of his firsts.
Cool.
Lucky,
So, yeah.
lucky.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we brought this up earlier, and we said we'd come back to it, so I want to come back to it. And it actually ties into one of the questions I had for you, Ben. What shifted you from bass to Essox and from pike to muskie?
Well, muskie are Essox as well. But anyways, it's just a different species of. Anyways, for the viewers, another name for pike.
I don't know if you caught that, but Ben, he likes to be right. He likes to make sure that he's putting me in my place. I understand that, just for the record. But anyways, go on.
The information is correct. That's all.
He's a very correct man.
What made me transition from bass fishing? And I got a fishing kayak this year, as you guys know. And when I got that fishing kayak, it was early in the spring, and I just wanted to get out there and get fishing as soon as I could. And bass isn't open here in Ontario, as you guys know. we do have that early smallmouth season now for Lake Ontario, which is wonderful. But anyways, I decided I was going to target pike, and I wanted to go for pike and just get out there. And I had so much fun targeting them with the baits that I was throwing. I really just loved to like chuck and wind, and also the areas that I was fishing, the way that you would target them, like what I was looking for. I don't know. There was so much that I loved about it, but mostly the follows. When you see that fish following your bait to the boat, even if you don't get it to hit, it's still such a rush. It's still very exciting, and you know there's a fish in that area, so you're going to come back to that, right? It's a little bit different than bass fishing. It's not like you see a bass before you catch the bass. Usually, like you're not. That's usually not the way it goes.
Not here in Ontario, anyways.
No, maybe when you're like, yeah, super shallow fishing, sight fishing in Texas, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was it. Also, the size of the fish too, and the aggression. I just love the aggression of the pike. In that kind of was I realized that when we were fishing Buck Lake last year, Eric and I, when we went camping, and we were kayak fishing. We borrowed a couple fishing kayaks from Frontenac Outfitters, and I was casting around. I was looking for pike. I was like, I'm just going to give up on bass. It's really cold water. I'm just going to try these areas. And I got one hit that just about ripped the rod out of my hands because I wasn't paying attention. And I missed
I remember that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then
I remember watching
caught that other one. Sorry?
I just said I remember watching that video. I wasn't there, but I saw that video.
Right, yeah. And then I caught that pike just after that slipped out of my hands.
Yeah.
But it was still like a nice pike. And that's when I was like, okay, in the spring, I was thinking, I'm going to go back out and target pike. And then I knew that it would just translate into muskie. Anything for pike, muskie's just a bigger, more badass, scarier pike, essentially.
Yep. Yep.
So.
I mean, better looking too. Like pike are cool. Oh well, no, obviously that's totally subjective. I take that back.
Yeah,
I love pike. I love catching pike.
Pike is gorgeous. Like I really think pike. The patterns on pike, especially when you get those like dark green ones with like the vivid yellow spots.
Right.
Super cool looking fish. But muskie just like they almost like glow. Like they just have this glow, and subjectively, I think that's more attractive.
They're different fish, and like, I don't know. There's something like in the eye, the size of their head. I don't know. There's something different about them.
I wouldn't know. I've never seen one with my own eyes before.
Someday, Jeff.
Someday.
Well, I'll take you to the spot where apparently we can catch them within a couple hours your first time. So,
yeah. I do plan in the spring to try on the St. Lawrence from my boat and from the kayak to get into some St. Lawrence muskies.
It might be difficult. The St. Lawrence muskies are going through a hard time right now with the gobies coming in and
eating up all the babies.
Well, and they're also bringing in a disease as well, and it's spreading into the muskies' eggs. So I think that's how it's going. At least, don't quote me on that, but
yeah, I read that article pretty recently too.
You might be driving to the Ottawa River.
Yeah. No thanks. I'll go to Kawarthas. I'll go visit Adam.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better option.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear Ottawa has some monsters.
Yeah. I did a little tiny itty bitty bit of fishing up on the Ottawa River earlier this year, in somewhere between April and April and June. Bass weren't open, but that was all I caught. So you didn't see any pictures of them because they were closed. So I had to.
What that you just put out recently, wasn't that Ottawa?
What?
The bass fishing video?
No, that was the Rideau Canal, and it was closer to Kingston. Yeah.
Fair.
My in-laws just bought a place up off of one of the smaller lakes up there on the lower Rideau here. So I took the boat out there, launched it out of Sealy's Bay, and I went to go do some mapping with my boat up there to try and find some good ice fishing spots, because they apparently that lake that they live on is like amazing for crappie. So
That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to get on some crappie fishing this year, especially through the ice. That would be great.
Yeah, and the only way to access it is there's no public access to that area too. So now I have a nice private access to that lake. So it's really nice. I'm super looking forward to going ice fishing out there, and it's super shallow. That part of the lake before it connects to the rest of the canal tops out at like 10 feet. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
very very shallow, very weedy. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna I think we have like 10 more minutes ish before
Yeah.
we wrap up. That's what we're looking at. So I had a question for Jeff, but I wanted to ask you as well, Ben. It's kind of like a weird question, but I'm interested in your answer. If you could have your own private pond, what would you stock it with? I think I know Ben's answer. 60-pound muskie.
What would I stock a private pond with? Probably a very healthy, reproductively speaking, population of crappie and walleye. Something that will multiply that I can eat.
Genius.
Yeah, and perch. You know what? I would just put everything in there. Everything that I love to catch, I would put in there. Bass, pike, perch, crappie, walleye, trout. Have a private pond that's deep enough for like lake trout. No, even though I've never caught one. I would still like to do that.
Then you'd
That's
be
what I
catching
would stock.
tons. Did that.
Yeah. I wouldn't fish
Right.
anywhere else.
It's
I would
like-
just live on my
Train them
pond.
to eat to the woods.
What's that?
How's my internet doing?
There you go. No,
Hello.
that's- You're back.
It's
Gotcha.
horrible when we're talking. If we're talking and you try and talk, it's like you're just like boop 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 boop. You're
Okay.
underwater.
Well,
You're underwater.
that's the way it goes. What about you, Ben?
Well, if it was possible, then muskies, of course. But they would need like a healthy ecosystem to sustain themselves. So, I'd probably throw some walleye in there too, and maybe target them once in a while for something to eat, and give the muskies a good healthy meal. Maybe some smallies too. The muskies that feed on smallies. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. You got your hand up?
Is there something you'd like
Well,
to say?
you were talking, so I didn't want to talk, so it didn't sound like blah blah blah. But I should have stipulated one species. You guys are wrecking it, like totally destroying it.
Well, you didn't
And does it have to
specify.
be like real and possible, like an actual
No.
Okay.
Species. You
The
can
sky's the
pick
limit, whatever. One species.
Crappie.
Muskie. I'm fishing for fun.
What
Just
about-
fishing for food.
What about you, Adam? What would you pick?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Well, think about it.
Actually, I did think about it, and I would have said crappie too. I'm
surprised none
One
of us
of the-
said trout. I was like,
one of
on
the
edge
best-
trout.
It'd be so hard to maintain a private pond that has lake trout in it. I guess
Well, it'd
it
be
doesn't have to be
impossible
lake
to
trout, right?
muskie. Sky's the limit. We're not talking about like
Yeah, but
logistics here and
I'm a realist, okay? I think about things in reality.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is that REELIST?
Sure.
I'll brand that.
Yeah. Trademark, copyright, patent,
That quick
whatever.
Or somebody that's watching gets that, It's a great idea. It's a great t-shirt. Okay, we should stop talking.
Another thing that we wanted to do at the end of this was offer up an opportunity for anyone who had any questions, put them in the chat, and not in this podcast or in this chat. Maybe in the next podcast, we'll address some of those questions. We'll talk about them. If you have any other comments, like we would love some feedback on your experience of viewing. So like,
Definitely.
please feel free to leave some comments and some feedback for us, because it helps big time. This is the first time we've done this, so we have no idea what you're seeing. It could be a complete disaster. We don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And we'd love to engage with you guys who are watching and listening to this stuff too. Eventually, this will end up on your favorite podcast. This will end up on This will end up on your favorite podcast streaming services too. So
What
you know, if you
take some speech lessons.
if you miss the live stream, you can always listen to it later on your drive to work or while you're on a treadmill or on doing a run or whatever you're doing, where you like to listen to your podcasts. Yeah.
And if you've made it this far in the podcast, we'll let you know that we've got this little secret Discord going on. And if you don't know what Discord is, we'll let you figure that out on your own. We don't want to just explain it on this podcast here. But send one of us a direct message through any of our avenues. You'll know how to reach us. If you're watching this, probably you can figure it out. Find us and send us a message, and we'll send you an invite to our Discord.
Yeah, we use it all the time to chat about all kinds of stuff, mostly due to fishing, and sometimes we make fun of Ben.
Sometimes I'm always getting picked on.
We always make fun of Ben.
There you go. That's accurate.
Yeah.
All right, boys, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, so in closing, before we wrap this up, anything you want to say, Ben, outside of the Discord stuff?
No, I think that this was fun. This was great, and I look forward to the next.
Yeah.
We'll have maybe some more topics and some news, and try and bring these listeners and viewers some real extra value if we can, whatever we can do.
Real extra value.
REEL.
And now I'm thinking like Adam. What about you, Adam?
And if you have a name for our podcast, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know. I have to
We're
pee.
not
That's
creative
all.
enough to figure it out.
I've had
Okay.
a couple beers, so I gotta pee.
All right, so we'll wrap this up. So before we go, I just wanted to say thanks to all you guys who are watching this, our very first live stream and podcast. We really appreciate your engagement and your viewership, and we hope that we'll see you again on the next one. We don't know when the next one's going to be, but we'll let you know when we.
We'll let you.
It'll be a Friday.
Depends how this one.
Yeah, it'll probably be a Friday. So far, I think it went well. I liked it a lot. I'm having a lot of fun. We do this offline all the time, and so I think that this is something that I would like to continue with my good friends here, Adam and Ben. But
Cool.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
until the next
sorry.
podcast. No, I was just getting ready to outro it, but don't worry about it. You just like swipe that right out from under me. No, take it away, Adam.
I gotta pee. Wrap it up.
All right. Bye, everybody. Adam's got to pee. That's going to be the end of this podcast.